John Kay is the boss man. Louisiana chapter, Americans for Prosperity. Hey, Mr. John, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Well, before we get into this Louisiana checkbook idea, got a lot of questions about that. What is, because you spend a lot of more time around those Baton Rouge politicos than do Aaron and myself. What is the mood? What's being said sort of behind the scenes about, let me see, there was the NOLA.com article this weekend about a budget cut is $3 million in delayed payments to Medicaid providers. Or the Jay Darden audio that's going around, how he explains finance swaps to sort of shell game $600 million in cuts when it's really not. Is this a house of cards from the Edwards administration, and is it starting to collapse a little bit?
Yeah, I think that there's probably a general disagreement and discontent among those on the right in the legislature regarding what the governor calls a cut. I think that you could probably identify a couple of things in there that we might call cuts. That would probably be something along the lines of a cut to TOPS a couple of years ago or a year ago. But a lot of the other things are stall in the growth of budget of the state budget, which is not something that a typical person would call a cut. It's not something that reduces the size of government.
Yeah, like I'm going to delay pay. I'm going to delay paying my mortgage.
It just not even that. It prevents the growth of state budget. So it prevents you from adding on to your direct TV package in a given month. It prevents you from spending more on that than you currently spend. You just maintain where you are. That's what the governor is referring to as a cut. And I think there's just a big difference between definitions between some in the legislature and the governor.
Later this morning, we are going to have State Senator Ryan Gaddy in studio. And he was one of the senators who signed a letter, I think it went to John Bell, calling for a special session. Is special sessions to raise taxes. I'm not sure Mr. Ryan's going to come in here and say I'm for raising taxes, but what other could this be nothing more than a compromise get together? Are you hearing the possibility of the governor actually calling for that session?
I think he will probably call for the session. Whether or not it's a compromise get together, I don't know. If they're going to come in just to powwow, that's a pretty expensive way to do it. But the question that I have is pretty simple. The price of oil is going up, which means that the state coffers are going to get more money. Mm-hmm. And federal tax reform, we still don't know exactly how much money that's going to bring into the state. Why would they go into a special session to raise money for a budget that hasn't been passed? We don't know what it's going to look like. We know what the governor presented, but it almost always changes. So we're going to raise taxes for a budget that hasn't passed against money that we don't even know how much we have coming in. The REC meets in March. They haven't met yet regarding the tax reform and some of the oil changes. Why would the legislature want to go in now and raise taxes now rather than wait and see what all they're dealing with, see what kind of budget they have, see what kind of revenue they have coming in, and meet, if they have to meet, which I'm not even sure that they would have to, if they have to meet in June later on when you know the full picture, you know exactly what you're dealing with.
Let's talk about Louisiana checkbookcom. This is an amazing idea. Ohio's got one that is just simply crazy good. It opens the door wide open so we can see everything government's doing. Describe the purpose.
I love it. All right, so this is something that my wife's going to kill me for telling y'all this. Whenever I presented the idea to her, she just looked at me kind of puzzled and said, "You mean this isn't something that we already have access to in Louisiana?" And I said, "No, it's not. But simply what it is it is rather than general budget categories where the state spends money, it's an expenditure level explanation of how the state of Louisiana spends every dollar, but not even just the state of Louisiana, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and local government, how they spend every dollar in state government. It's just a way for people to keep their government accountable to them. But it's simple to read. It's simple to digest and understand. It's graphs. It's exportable to Excel. You can see when they bought a pack of pencils at Office Depot.
Oh, wow.
You can see everything. It's probably too much information for some people, but it's stuff that I think that if the legislature passes this, the people will see that they're serious about fiscal reform. They're serious about doing what's right by the people of
I
Louisiana.
guess my first question would be, and it's sort of a rhetorical one, why on earth would you need a law to start a website where people can see how the state spends their money? It seems to me that maybe we ought to be doing this already, yeah?
We should, and we have a website that does some of it called The Track, but it's clunky, it's difficult to use, and it has incomplete information. What we want, and really what I think Louisianans deserve, is just a simple state-of-the-art way to track government spending, especially in a time where we have yearly debates and arguments about the size of the state budget, about tax increases. Let's just open the book. Let's just show Louisianans where the money is being spent. I think that if the governor or the legislature want to justify raising taxes, which again I would disagree with, they should come to the people of Louisiana and really make their case by saying, we have nothing to hide. We're going to show you everything.
I mean, if you look at ohiocheckbook.com, and that is the website on which the louisianacheckbook.com will be sort of modeled, it's I got to tell you, my IQ is about 85, and I can follow this thing pretty darn easy. My brain doesn't explode or anything like it's Sudoku. So I can't, if ours is modeled along the lines of the Ohio model, it'll be a fascinating look into how government operates.
It absolutely would be. And I would disagree with you. I think you're a slightly smarter guy than you give yourself credit for. But anybody can understand this. You can really dig in deep. I think oftentimes government transparency leads to government accountability. I don't remember who said that in the past week or so, but I think that's really one of the best ways to put it. Once government puts everything out there and gives everything to the people for them to see, I think that long term we're going to have better government accountability and a better, more full conversation about the picture of the state budget and where these cuts can and can't be made, because we know where the government's spending money.
Our last 30 seconds, the Ohio treasurer runs theirs. Is that how we would do it here? And is that another level of bureaucracy you're adding?
I would very much like for the state treasurer of Louisiana to at least have an oversight role over this website. Whether or not he runs it or not, I think is something we have to discuss during the process. But I think that it is most naturally housed at the treasurer's office. Yes.